Hey guys, Eddie here with Benny Farm, starting a new little deal. Try to do it once a week if I can either remember or get to it. But I'm going to call it Sage Advice from the Shade Tree. So since this is the first one, then we'll do a little something. This will be for the new homesteaders, market gardeners, farmers, whatever you want to call yourself, preppers, whatever you want to call yourself, or whatever you think of yourself as. But we watch a lot of YouTube videos, two things: one for ideas and stuff, and other to see what other people's doing, maybe how that we can incorporate that into our operation. Some things we've tried, some things we didn't like, some we did. So just all the time wanting to learn. You're never too young to learn new stuff. And two or three things. One, in your business career, the more knowledge you have, as far as the more different skills you have, more marketable you are when you go look for a job, and more reasons for the people you're working for now to keep you around. You know, the guy that can only do one thing, you know, things get hard and they got to cut some people loose, that's probably the one that's going to go. Now, the more stuff you know, the harder they're going to work you. So, you know, you got to decide what's right for you. But what I want to talk to you about today, like I say, is for the newer people, and we watch different ones. I'm trying to think of some now. I know we watch Appalachian Homestead some. We watch Justin Rhodes some. M.I. Gardner, that's a good one. But a lot of them are, and I don't know exactly how to do this. Maybe I'm small enough that YouTube algorithm won't pick it up. But homesteading, the preppers, whatever you want to call yourself, a lot of them are telling you this is the first thing you've got to do. This is the first thing you've got to do. You've got to do this. First off, do what's right for you. But I'm going to be like everybody else. I'm going to tell you what I think the first thing you've got to do is, and I think, in my opinion, and like I say, opinions are like butts. Everybody's got one, thinks theirs is the best. But in my opinion, the first thing you've got to do, whether you've been doing it for a year or two, and you're gonna, if you've been doing it a year or two and having trouble, you're gonna understand more what I'm talking about than the guy that's, you know, sitting in an apartment saying, I got to get out of the city. But the first thing you've got to do is, like the movie Cool Hand Luke, you got to get your mind right. Now, I'm not saying put you in a box for 3 days to get your mind right, but you got to get your mind right. Now, by that I mean, when you start this lifestyle, and I have an advantage, or we have an advantage, and my kids have an advantage. We've been doing this, Debbie and I have been married 43 years. Yeah, I got to get it right or I'll be in trouble. 43 years. So we started doing this back in the late 70s, early 80s. It's just the way, it's kind of the way we grew up, and it's the way, now when I was a kid, we lived in town some, we lived on some farms and stuff. Lived on a ranch in Colorado. I mean, I've had a varied, as far as places lived and everything, my life has been very different schools, different states, such as that. So, Debbie's the other way, she's lived in 2 states, 3 states her whole life, so I've lived in like 6 or 7. But anyway, but what I mean is, we've been doing it for a while, so it really doesn't bother me. But you new people, some of your kin folks, some of your friends, they may be your best friend. they're going to think you're crazy. They're going to, I don't want to be one of them preppers. I know, and I ain't picking on nobody, but I know, you know, uh, some folks and the wife is, trying to do some stuff, get ready just in case, and it ain't got to be a total economic collapse or anything. If you lose, you know, 20 years ago, I think it was, we had a snowstorm, as ice storm come through here. We were without power for 13 days. Well, we've been doing this all the time. We had food and stuff. Was it comfortable? No, it was freaking cold, let me tell you. Ice over everything. Didn't have any electricity. It was rough, but we got through it. So unlike some people, I know we can get through it. I've got experience with that, so I kind of know, okay, here's what I need to do, here's what I need to plan to do. And that's what I'm talking about by getting your mind right. Don't worry about what people are saying about you or think about you, talking about that. We do, last time I was at the doctor's was 7 or 8 years ago. I had kidney stone. First one in 55 years. Don't want another one. If you've ever had one, you know what I'm talking about. Do not want another one. Researched it. What causes them? I was drinking, I'm not blaming it just on this, but I was drinking a gallon of sweet tea in the wintertime and 2 gallons a day. I'm not talking about a week, I'm talking about a day in the summertime. All I drink. Sweet tea, no soda pops, no water, sweet tea, because I figured the tea had the water in it. Well, found out the sugar in the tea can cause kidney stones. And that's not, nearly everything you eat causes kidney stones. But I was going to the excess on the sweet tea. I cut that out. It was hard, let me tell you. I cut out soda pops. Now then, I will drink, go out to eat with somebody, I'll drink soda pop. I don't hardly ever drink sweet tea anymore. Maybe once in a great while, but I cut way back. Best thing for kidney stones is water. I always got some water. Even up at work, I may drink, 3/4 to a gallon of water a day in the summertime, maybe a little bit more, depends on what I'm doing. But saying that, we don't buy over-the-counter medicine. We hardly ever go to doctor. We don't get sick. Now I say we don't get sick. If I feel a little old summer cold coming on, we don't have a lot of those. We eat the food we grow. We watch what food we buy, or organic, and they may tell you, hey, organic's just a fad, whatever. Look at the way it's raised and everything. But when you start doing that, you're not in that group that consume everything today, and you need the fast food, and you need this, and you need that. So you're going to be kind of for lack of a better word, you're going to be kind of an outcast. They're not going to shun you or anything, but you're different. A couple of years ago, my insurance up at work, it was time to renew it. And the guy was trying to sell me some kind of extra insurance for prescription. Here's a drug card you can get, 10% off on your prescription. I don't remember now what it was. I said, we don't do prescriptions. I said, we do herbal remedies. And she studied it. She's been to online schools about it. I feel comfortable Debbie knows what she's doing with the herbs. Plus she's done it long enough, what she gives me works. But it's like sinuses, like Benadryl and Sudafed. I used to take Sudafed at least one a day. My sinus is terrible. Now then, they was terrible. I've noticed since I cut out the sweet tea and all the sugar, my sinuses, I don't have near the sinus problem that I did have. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I'm not a doctor. That's just one of the things I noticed. But instead of buying the Benadryl and the Sudafed and all that kind of stuff, every year the goldenrod, we'll harvest it. She'll make a tincture out of it, and you feel your little sinus getting stopped up a little bit, take a couple little droppers of it, a couple of hours, you find by the next day, you know, it take a couple of days, it'll clear it and be fine. So that's the kind of medicine we do. So anyway, I was telling the sales guy that, and you know, that hey, we do herbs, and we don't do the special herb. If it ever gets legal in this state, I may try it because I think it does have medicinal properties. I'm not just going to try it to be trying it, but I think there's some medicinal properties to it. And it's just like any other drug. It needs to be used responsibly. But he told me, when I told him all that, he told me, he said, oh, you're one of those. Yeah, I'm one of those. And that's what, if you want to survive, and I'm not talking about, you know, economic collapse, anything like that. I'm talking about if you want to just survive, have a healthy life and everything, get your mind right. Don't worry about what people are calling you, saying about you, or anything like that. Study up on this stuff. Don't do what I'm doing just because I do it. If you think it'll work for you, give it a whirl. That's what we teach some gardening classes and small animal raising classes, things like that. And that's what I tell them in my gardening classes. And I didn't come up with this. I was in a beekeeping class when we was getting into bees. The guy told me, and it stuck with me. Not me, he told the whole class, but he said, books are fine, and they are. They're great. I love books. But he said, honeybees do not read the books. They're going to do what they're going to do. You just kind of to manipulate them to do what you want them to do. But they're not, honeybees are not here for us. They're here for them. Same way with your plants. You know, just because it's, you know, it says you can't grow this plant in this particular thing, think about where that plant grows naturally. If you can mimic those conditions, you could probably do it. We've always down here, you plant your Irish potatoes, red potatoes, whatever you want to call them. Plant them, try to have them planted by Valentine's Day, February, March, along in there. You plant them about end of May, 1st of June, they're ready to harvest. We took some of the smaller ones, planted them this year in our greenhouse that we have shade cloth on, that we have the sides opened up on, it stays cooler than outside in the sun. We have a fan in there. We planted them in there just to see, can we get a crop out of them. And I don't know if we're going to try to hold them till next fall, let them go that long, or if they're going to be ready to harvest. When the plants start dying, we'll dig them up and see what's happening. But try stuff like that, and that's one of the things I mean by getting your mind right. Expand your mind, think outside the box. If you can, think outside the box factory. I mean, just because this book says, you know, it's got to be this way or else, that doesn't mean you can't do it. Just because somebody you watch, and I'm not picking on anybody, but just because somebody you watch on YouTube said, you know, you've got to do it this way. No, you don't. Just do it whatever you think will work for you. Now then, there's some basics. You know, if you got a bunch of chickens out there, you got to feed them little jokers every day. I mean, don't say, well, I'm not going to feed my chickens because Leroy said I need to feed them every day, and I won't feed them every other day. You can feed them every other day if you got a big enough feeder and such and so forth. But if you're raising animals, and this is back to getting your mind right, if you're raising animals, you really need to be looking at them animals at least once a day. The smaller they are, the more you need to be looking at them. Cows, once or twice a day, you're probably good, unless they're calving or something, but, you know, something strange going on. But don't turn them out there and not look at them for a week. Your smaller animals, your chickens, we look at ours at least 3 times a day. And the reason we do that, and I don't know that it's a reason, but the reason we do it, we pin them up at night in a coop, keep the foxes and possums and coons, because you know everything loves chickens. Pin them up to keep predators from getting them. Okay. First thing in the morning, and I say first thing when the sun comes up between 7 and 8, we'll go let them out. Okay. They all come running out, you can watch. If you know Lula May's still in the coop, you kind of check on her. Why is she in there? You know, is she something wrong with her? Or she's still asleep or what? So then about mid-afternoon, we have a separate coop for them to lay in. So we'll open that coop up. When we let them out, shut that coop up, open the one that they lay in. So they'll go in there and lay them. Middle of the afternoon, we'll go in there and gather the eggs. We see the chickens again. They're in the free range in a pen, if you want to call them that. I mean, they're in a pretty good sized pen. They can't eat all the grass and everything that's in it. So we see them again. We shut that coop, we open the other one up so they can go back in, and about dark, when it's right before dark, they'll all go in there. We'll go in there, we'll count heads. Are they all in here? If we're missing one, we'll go find it, because sometimes one of them decide that, hey, I ain't going in tonight, I'm gonna sleep up in this tree or on top of the feeder or whatever. So we'll get her in. But that's what I'm saying, you need to get your mind that, okay, I'm gonna raise these chickens, I need to be watching them more than here's your feed, good luck guys. That's what I'm talking about, getting your mind right. Same way with growing stuff. You know, and you're not gonna, one thing about getting your mind right is when you're growing stuff, you're gonna have a crop failure. It may be something you did. Learn from it. It may be something totally out of your control. It could have been some old seed. Hopefully you won't have that, because they're all supposed to be testing everything, but you know, sometimes things happen. I mean, they just do. May got too much rain, not enough rain. Try to figure out what happened. You know, you may have grasshoppers come through and wipe out the whole thing. Okay, then you got to figure out, how do I deal with these grasshoppers? And that's, you know, you got to think outside the box, because, I mean, you can get spray on them if that's what you want to do. I mean, go for it. I don't believe in spraying everything. I think it does more harm than good. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to spray your place if you think that's what's best for you. Because I'm going to do what's best for me, what I think is best for me. So, doing that, back to the animals, plants ain't that big a deal. I mean, you just have to think about, you know, you want to grow determinate, indeterminate, how much do you want, canning. Animals, you got to get you, first off, decide what am I going to do with these animals? Am I going to put some of the chickens in the freezer? Am I going to raise up some meat birds to put in the freezer? Okay. If you've got 20 you're going to put in the freezer, you really can't pay anybody to do that. You can find people to do it. They'll do it on shares. They'll butcher them on shares for you. You can find somebody that'll do that. But they're going to want at least a fourth of them. So if you got 20, you're giving 5 away to not have to butcher them. And if that's what you want to do, I mean, great. Just grow some extra ones, knowing you're going to lose some to pay somebody to butcher them or trade or whatever. But if you're squeamish about actually killing them, if you're going to eat meat, somebody killed it. I'm sorry, but that's the facts of life. If you eat meat, it doesn't grow out there on a vine like a watermelon does. That animal was alive, whatever that animal was, fish or whatever, somebody killed it. And I don't get me wrong, I do not like killing my animals. I know it's a necessary evil. But I feel comfortable, and let me tell you, a rabbit, it's hard to do a rabbit, because rabbits are cute and fluffy, and you think old Thumper and Bambi and all that. But if you're going to eat meat, you need to be responsible and have your mind right that you raised that animal to the best of your ability. It had the best life it could have until that final day. And it ain't going to remember it very long. But I mean, but it's a hard thing to kill animals. And in my opinion, if you get where it doesn't bother you, and I'm not talking about breaking down crying bothering you, I'm talking about if you get where you kind of enjoy killing animals, something's wrong with you. If you raise that animal up, you know, from the time it was born till it's ready to harvest, and you don't have a problem, if you know, and I'm not saying you get freaked out by it or whatever, but you know what I'm talking about. If it doesn't bother you a little bit, and of course the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it. But to me, it should still bother you a little bit, because I think that's the way you respect that animal is, you know, I really don't want to do this, but that's what you're on this earth for. That's what I raised you for. That's what I give you a good life for, because you've got to feed me. And you got to get your mind right. I mean, if you can't do it, don't raise animals. If you can't go out there, and this is going to happen sooner or later, I don't care what you do, but if you can't go out there and see every one of your chickens dead, we had this happen been about a month ago now. Okay, it was our fault. Two reasons. It was our fault. One, we got lazy and we didn't put them up one night. They's kind of a pain. We didn't put them up one night. I forget why, but there's a reason. We didn't put them up. Oh, they'll be all right. Two, our guard dog, which she's not with chickens because she's still a young pup. I mean, she's about 1.5 years now, but she still likes to play with the chickens, so we don't have her with them. We have her in a pen close to them. She was about 3 o'clock in the morning. She was fussing, and she's got different barks, but she had a bark that something's out there. Well, we've got coyotes around here all the time. And, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't want to get up 3 o'clock in the morning, go out in the dark, see what's going on. I thought, well, it's just coyotes. I went back to sleep. I should have got up, went and looked, because apparently dogs got in there and dug under the fence and killed every one of the chickens. The way you can tell, or the way we do, tell dog damage from coyote damage, coyotes will kill some, but they'll carry a lot of them off because they'll carry them off and eat them. Or you'll find where they beat them right there. Dogs are playing with them and kill them, and then they'll go get another one and play with it and kill them. I don't know if it's neighbors' dogs, wild dogs. We have some wild dogs around, feral dogs, you know, we're out in the country. Instead of being responsible and putting your dog down or whatever when you get tired of it, and I know that's bad to say, people just dump it out in the country. Oh, they're in the country. Well, no, that causes problems for the people in the country. And to be honest, your dog's probably getting shot if you dumped it out in the country. It's going to, one or two things going to happen. It's going to be bothering somebody's livestock and it's going to get shot, or it's going to starve to death. So if, you know, don't dump your dogs out in the country thinking they're going to have a great life. They're miserable. I mean, I don't want to say a dog in a pound, but a pound is a better place for them than just dumping them out. So, that being said, it was my fault we lost the chickens. But you got to get that in your mind that you're going to go out there one day, all your chickens are dead for whatever reason. I mean, it could have been an illness that you didn't catch. They're all dead. It's devastating, you know, not only monetarily, but emotionally, because if you raise animals very long, you get to know their little habits and stuff. I mean, chickens and turkeys. We had some turkeys. We've since had them processed, but we had some turkeys. Turkeys are dumb as a rock, but I like raising them because every one of them has a different personality. Now then, since we sell to the public, I have to take them to a USDA. I can do it myself, but I feel more comfortable getting a USDA facility to do them, sell them to the public. Just, I'm weird that way, but it's a sad day when you take the turkeys. It's a sad day when we took the pigs. Pigs pain in the butt, rooting on you and trying to bite you and different things, you know, and they're not mean, don't get me wrong, not mean. They just, you got to feed, so let's eat, and, you know, I give you a little nip, maybe you'll hurry up and dump my feed. But it's a sad day whenever you take your animals to the processor. I mean, now don't get me wrong, old Larry, Curly, and Moe, oh, they tasted good. There's some good pigs. And we'll get some more probably next spring. But that's what I'm saying. If you're gonna be raising animals, you gotta get your mind right. You gotta be willing to kill that animal, because if you're gonna raise them for meat, that's what it comes down to. Give them the best life you can give them, and then that one last day. And it should be a sad day. If it's not a sad day, something wrong with you. And you know what I mean. Unless something's wrong with you, then you don't know what I mean. But see, what else was I gonna tell you? I think that's about it. Just, you know, once you get your mind right, then everything else will come in. And from there, and that's what you need to think about, is what's most important for me to do. You know, they'll say, hey, you need to get out of debt. You do. You need to be out of debt. Everybody does. Whether you're homesteader or not, you don't need to be in debt. A few things. I went in debt to buy 6 acres next to me. Didn't want to, but that's what I had to do. But I can make that 6 acres pay for itself. That kind of debt, I don't like it, but I can justify it, I guess what you want to say. So the homesteading thing, this other thing I'll say, get used to doing without, and not to make it sound bad, but do you need the latest phone? Do you need the latest game? If you're doing homesteading right, or market gardening, or farming, or whatever, if you're doing it right, you really ain't got time for all that stuff. You're pretty well busy daylight to dark, which I still work a full-time job, so I've got that plus everything on the farm we've got to do. But, you know, my truck is 03, and I think Debbie's is a 13. They're both paid for. They're both still fairly good shape. I mean, we maintain them. They'll last a while. And that's what I say, don't, you know, my brothers all have newer trucks. I think everybody I know's got a newer truck than I've got. And everybody keeps saying, when you go get a new truck? I ain't wore this one out yet. And when I get rid of it, it will be wore smooth out. Same way with your clothes. I mean, I got, I don't know, 8 or 10 work shirts and 4 or 5 dress shirts. I don't need any more of that. I don't have to impress, you know. I'm on YouTube. You're going to see me in this shirt more than once. This is one of my favorite work shirts. I don't have to impress anybody. They don't like, if you don't like the shirts I'm wearing, buy me one. I'll wear it. But I ain't going to just run out and buy one to be buying one. Mole hat, everybody's giving me a hard time about mole hat. I mean, it still does the job. It keeps the sun off of me, keeps the rain off of me. It's ugly. I'll be the first one to admit that. It's ugly. It's had a hard life. It ain't wore out yet. When I can reach up here and the top comes off, it's time to go find another one. So get that in your mind that, you know, I don't want to say doing without or being poor or whatever, but there's a lot of things there's a lot of wants people want and not needs. It's, you know, another thing to get your mind about, and I have a hard time with this. I can do it. I wouldn't like it. But when we had toilet paper shortage way back yonder, now we kind of stock up along anyway. It wasn't that bad a deal for us. There's a couple times I'm like, ooh, we're getting close, you know. But you got an old t-shirt that's ratty, full of holes, you're fixing to throw in the trash, you might want to hang on to it, get you a little old, what would you call it, a poopy sack or something, where you put these old t-shirts that maybe use them for, you know, for toilet paper. I mean, you wouldn't want to flush them or nothing, but, and it may be you have to Wash them out like you used to do cloth diapers years ago. And that's what our kids have. They're old enough. We didn't have Pampers and all that stuff. We had cloth diapers, and that, hey, 100% it's nasty, okay? I ain't saying I would enjoy it, but I've prepared my mind. If it comes down to I cannot get toilet paper anywhere, or it's more expensive than I think it needs to be, hey, look out. We got t-shirts. And that's what I mean by get your mind right. Think of these things and think them through, and what would you do? Another thing is, don't tell everybody what you've got. Don't be bragging on social media and everything. Oh, look at my closet full of food, because if things get bad and you can't get food, and I've heard of some of that. We've got a niece down by Houston. What was she telling me it was? A couple things. She went to a store last week for. Went to 2 stores. They didn't have it, and it was, I don't remember now what it was. It's bread, or it was a staple. Maybe it might have been flour or something. Is a staple that you would think they'd have plenty of. So maybe that's one of the things you need to do, is learn how to bake bread. But don't show everybody your stockpile, because if people don't have food, guess where they're coming to? And that brings up another thing about get your mind right. How far are you willing to go to protect what's yours? If you're not willing to do some things that maybe you think are wrong, but there may come a time when it's, you have to do something you don't want to do to protect what's yours. Because, I mean, somebody comes in and gets all your food, you don't have any now, what are you going to do? That brings up another thing. Everybody say, ooh, I wouldn't eat a rat. You don't know how hungry you are yet. I'm not going to say I wouldn't eat a rat, but if you see me eating a rat, I've ate everything else. I've killed every deer I can find. I've got all the fish I can find. I mean, things are desperate. So that's what I mean by, getting your mind right. You've got to think of these things. Don't just, oh, I want to get out and be self-sufficient. You can't do self-sufficiency in a year. It's going to take you, and I'm not trying to scare you out of it, I'm trying to be realistic with you. It's going to take you, I say 3 years at a minimum, probably 5 or 6 to really get self-sufficient. And that depends on your definition of self-sufficient, because you can't do everything yourself. If you're going to be a prepper, a homesteader, whatever, that's my last point for this session. Have you a network. Don't try to do everything by yourself. Have a network. Leroy knows how to do this, and Bubba knows how to do that, and I know how to do these 2 things. And have your network you can rely on. It's like me, I don't deer hunt a whole lot. I know how. I can do it if I need to. But I have a network of people that I can trade them some pork for deer. Because deer's good, but not every meal. Pork's good, but not every meal. So instead of trying to do everything on your own by yourself, and it's, you can puff your chest out, I did this. If you want to survive in the long run, you're going to need a network of people that can do things that you can't do, or maybe they can do something you do better. Maybe you can bake bread, but they bake it better, or they can know how to make it. They can make 10 loaves while it takes you the same amount of time to make 4 loaves. I mean, so think about that when you getting your mind right. Think about that. Who all do I know that thinks like I do, that's interested in doing what I do, and can help me do what I need to do, and what can I do to help them do what they need to do. So I guess that's all for this session. I can go on and on. I'll think of some more stuff for the next one, but if you have something you would like to see, or like me to talk about, or get my opinion on, anything like that, just throw it down there in the comments or wherever you put it. You know how to do all that stuff. And if you know, like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And we will try to get with y'all, try to do this. Hopefully I can do this every week. We'll see how it works out. But see y'all next time, and thanks for hanging out.